All right, well, welcome everyone to what is our first webinar for 2024, and it is our quarterly update where we share with you what has been happening across the Smarter SMSF business over the past quarter. And it's fair to say we had a pretty busy finish to the year, and I'm sure many of you did as well. When we looked at our order volumes, again, we saw sort of very significant numbers over the past sort of couple of months to finish up 2023. And no doubt as we move into 2024, people are already in full swing in terms of the orders that they're doing on the platform. Today is, as I said, to share with you an update around what is happening from a technology standpoint on our platform, what we're working on as a team, both in the context of our documents, but also around our learning platform as well. And we'll be splitting that time between those two elements and sharing with you an update around our Docs 2.0 platform and many of the things that we've been working on. With that, a lot of it comes from you, the feedback that we get in conversations that we have day to day, and ideas that get put forward to us that we go, well, that's actually something that we hadn't even thought about. And that's one of the best things that we like to really focus on is listening to you, the end user, about what we could be building to help you do what you do each and every day quicker and faster and better than you've ever done before. So we're going to work through a couple of those things. We're going to touch on some of the document updates and what we've got as work in progress. And then we'll move across to our learning platform. Again, we've made some enhancements around access to content. Many of you will know we made some changes to the way in which we deliver our training throughout 2023. So that now has culminated in masterclasses in addition to our webinars. And we have our courses, which I say that now in plural, as part of the rebranding. We now have both a foundations level course and then our SMSF Essentials course as part of our starter, smarter, and then smartest model around education. And then we'll finish up with a bit of an outline as to what our key focuses are in the business as we move into 2024. And as always, if you've got any questions as we move along, feel free to come back and ask those of me, and I'm happy to try and answer them where I can. So let's get stuck straight into it. So from the platform point of view, all of our effort and energies are now moving into our new document platform. And I'll share with you some of that shortly if you have seen it or if you haven't seen it. We are working closely at the moment with a closed beta environment with a number of members with the document ordering and trying to get user feedback as much as we possibly can so that we can move it from closed beta, then into open beta naturally, and then into live production, and most importantly, decommission our existing platform, which is about 7 or 8 years of age now. Initially, we have around 11 documents available on there. We use the Pareto theory. So we believe that we know that about 80% of our orders come from around 20% of our documents. So we've got 11 on there at the moment, and over the course of the next month, we'll be uplifting that to around 20 or so. And most importantly, that's going to give us some additional context around some of the features that we've been adding, which I'll be showing you shortly. And our goal here is to move from this closed beta environment, which we really opened up in about late November, right through until now, the end of January. That open beta environment is then going to allow for any users of the platform to have the choice whether you want to use the existing site or whether you want to go into the beta site and then do that order. Ultimately, the features are the same. So as you can see on the right-hand side here about the why and the key benefits, there's actually no change to the ordering process. So it is all based upon, as a member, the fact that we use our counters to deduct off the orders that you have used from your subscription. Those of you that order on a pay-as-you-go basis, you'll simply then pay by credit card at the end. This is all about improving the site speed, making improvements in functionality, and naturally in the user interface that comes with that as well. What we've also done with this process is we've either enhanced forms or we've created brand new forms. And the best ones that I can really talk to here are our trust deed upgrade form. We've now got the ability to add additional parties such as employer sponsors and principal employers, and our pension documents, which we have the ability to do a two-step process. And many of you have heard me talk about that. So we'll be decommissioning our old pension document and then replacing it on our new platform with this current form that we have at the moment. Both of those forms sit on the old platform. The APIs are being further enhanced. You can do more in essence with the BGL and class and Supermate integrations and how they tap into these features that we'll be talking about shortly as well. And the final thing, just to note, we are looking to add our TFN and ABN integration into the document subscription process, but we'll only do that when we're comfortable that our platform moves into live production rather than through this beta phase. The idea being that, you know, the ABN application process will be like any other document and form that you complete. We've had fantastic feedback and continue to in terms of the time savings that you get in that process around the ABN and TFN. So whilst we do have a number of members in there, we're always happy as things are evolving to get more interested parties. So, you know, if you're looking to order, you're doing companies and new funds and pensions and investment strategies, those sort of documents, you want to give it a go and provide us some feedback as part of our rollout of this Docs 2.0 platform, let us know and we're more than happy to set you up to be able to access that in the platform. And I might just quickly go there to show you what I'm actually talking about, because what you will see here under the documents page is we have a create new beta. And what that create new beta does, I've just got all these pages open to save a bit of time here. It takes you and single signs you on to this new platform, and you can see the documents that we currently have available in here. There is more information that naturally is covered within these. A lot of the detail that we had previously is still there. It's just enhanced a lot more, in particular talking about the integrations. And then as you will see, as you go into a form, the ability to apply that integration actually sits inside the form, and the integrations you can see down here will tell you what you are or aren't connected to as part of that process. And if you then want to look to connect, you can do that through this particular process here. So it's a significant shift from where we had on our existing platform, the integrations that we have here, and then subject to what integrations on different documents are available. You then could work through that limited set. The idea here is that all of the forms that we have will have this ability to integrate from any of our SMSF software providers. There are some other features that we'll be talking about more shortly that'll even enhance the way in which you can get the data populated into these forms. But that's just a bit of insight there. And again, you've got this much cleaner navigation in terms of what the Docs 2.0 platform looks like. And we have this single sign-on that comes through as part of that process as well. So let's go back to our slides again. And I want to now talk you through some of the, I guess, the particulars of this. And again, the fact that there is much more powerful search functionality with it, the way in which you can distill that information and search for information there's a lot more detail in that, better descriptions and videos and so forth that we've added into that process. And again, better search functionality, the ability to delete bulk orders and completed orders to be able to find and streamline those actions. So what you can see on here on the right-hand side is the Actions tab. We've started to categorize these as well. And I'm going to, again, jump back to the platform here. And under the saved orders, as we'll talk about, I might just open the completed orders page whilst we're doing that as well. Is you can start to see there's a lot more information in here, and the ability, if we want to be able to delete numbers of orders if we want to. We can then open it up into much larger numbers if we want to as well. And then we can search over a particular name here as well. So if I just type Gerard, you can then see there's some detail in there. and then you've got the ability to resume that particular order. Equally, one of the things that I should have noted here previously as well is under the Create New, we are adding in little references to the fact that if you are using the import, this CSV import, we will be talking about this shortly, but it will just identify what documents you can simply go and order from, and then what documents you might want to use some additional functionality that we have as part of this approach as well. And again, you'll get all the detail within this about the fact that you've got integrations and so forth that are available. So we've got here then our submitted page. And again, what you've got as part of this particular process is the fact that you can search, you have the various actions. So where we have the integrations completed, you've got the ability to send certain things through. If you've got a new SMSF, in this instance, establishment, I might go down and try and find an establishment here. Of course, it won't want me to, actually, I need to go new SMSF. What you'll have in here is the ability to then look up and do other actions that occur as part of that process. So in here, again, it might be just the BGL or Supermate. It might be things with class. It might be, again, a number of, here we go. You can see in here, we've got the class, you've got the sender class, the sender BGL, the send to Supermate, send the docs to Supermate, and then you've also got your doc flows, which is applying for that ABN and TFM. So again, it's just a bit more structure and order to that process here, that you'll be able to get your documents, reset your orders, all those things that are available ordinarily on the completed order site, but just in a, I guess, the user interface again is much improved as part of this new Docs 2.0 platform. All right, so let's head back to our slides again here. And I want to share with you a couple of things just then about the timeframes here. So as I mentioned, we're already at the point in time where we are getting towards the end of this closed beta environment. Just again, it was virtually here to make sure the core elements of what we had tested internally at an alpha level, we'd been satisfied, and then we needed to get some initial feedback before we moved into an open beta so that the orders were working properly, the address functionality, the integration functionality, all that sort of stuff. So we then expect from sort of February through to the end of March, so around a 6-8 week period, most likely, that will be publicly available for anyone to use. The integrations and so forth will be there. And our goal then is to move to what we call live production environment. What that is going to then mean is that regardless of where you are on our website, so if you are on our app, which is our current document platform, if you go to order a new SMSF, for example, it will redirect you to the new document platform to order it. So it will, in essence, override the choice in the old platform versus new platform. So then through that stage 3 process, we will then begin to be decommissioning a lot of these old forms because of the new platform. And then ultimately, when we get to 30 June, all of that should be moved off our old platform. And then effectively all users will be using our new platform to log in. And we'll have some toggling that will be available. And you see this toggling if you're a BGL and class user and so forth, where you can toggle between the different products that those providers have through a single sign-on process. The same thing will happen here, whether you want to access the document area, you want to access the education content, you want to go into our orders console as part of the admin area, you want to go into the deed service, all of these elements will seamlessly bring you from one to the other as part of this process. So now we move on to one of the new features that we had requested late last year. So in this last quarter of 2023. And this was a discussion we had in Brisbane with one of our clients when we were up there in, I think it was October, it might have been late October, early November. And they said, look, it's great. The integrations are great for what we need inside our firm, but with the financial planning business and so forth, as part of this initial process, we would love just to be able to, rather than having to key in all that information to kick things off, we've got data that sits in other software. Can we use that somehow to get this information into our system? And that started this conversation whereby, well, why can't we just give some sort of basic CSV functionality that would enable you to get export data from one system and then import it into here to start a process? And that's where, as I said here before, if we have this little CSV logo next to it, you'll be able to use that CSV function here on this particular form. And you can see a couple of screenshots, and we'll move to this shortly. But what we're doing is kicking off a process such as a company order that if you have that data within Xero or Xplan or something else, you can simply pull that CSV down and then map that to the document and then import it into that particular order. Now, that might not save you time when you ordinarily think about it, but what we have done here, of course, is if you are building this as a standard process where you are pulling that data out of another piece of software to do a company order or to do a fund order each and every time, then you can save that as a template so that those mappings automatically occur that allow you to fast track it on the second, the third, the fourth, the 100th time, however many times it would go through that process. So it allows you to choose that file, upload it, create the templates, as I said, and then you can edit or delete those stored templates if you make changes over the time as well. And finally here, those where you want to import multiple orders in one go, then rather than once you've submitted that, it would go to the order that you are populating. It will create a multiple of those submitted orders and then allow you to work through it as you work through the specifics of those client imports. So what that means, and this is where I guess the conversation has continued with some of our members, is, well, this sort of import functionality would be fantastic if we wanted to do deed upgrades. So rather than having to simply do one at a time, if we're comfortable with the throughput of the history to allow that it's a Smarter SMSF deed, and we know it's Rule 29 that's going to allow for that upgrade to occur and so on and so forth, could we not just do an export out of our SMSF software and put that into a CSV file and then actually go through and do 10 deed update orders in one go? And the short answer is yes, that's the approach that you'll be able to do. You'll be able to do that import. It'll create the 10 saved orders. You'll be able to go into that saved order, review the information that's been imported, and then click generate, saving again a significant amount of time. So at this point, we have simply focused on the fact that we wanted to get you just go to the CSV import, wanted to look at this as a starting process. So I want to use it for a company. I want to use it for a new SMSF establishment. Okay, so you've got that sort of functionality that's sitting here. And then once we have the document that we want to utilize, we can then go and find that particular order. So I can go in here, one I've created earlier, and then it will allow for me to upload. So these are the fields that are inside the CSV file: first name, last name, street, suburb, postcode, and so on and so forth. And then what I can be doing in here is I can be mapping this into the form that I want to be using. So it may be a given name here. We've got our last name or our family name. We've got our street address. So in this instance, street number, suburb, wherever that is down here, state. So you can see the way in which it can be done. So yes, there's a little bit of time to work through here. We don't need our telephone, so we would not include. We don't need our email, do not include. We need to access things like the date of birth. We can do that. The gender of the individual, the TFN, if we needed the TFN in there. Otherwise, again, we would simply do not include. And then that will import that information into the system. But equally, we've got templates. And this is what I was talking about here we now have this that we want to save as a template, and we can then go back and use this on an ongoing basis. So we don't have to go through that mapping each and every time. And this will then allow you to go through and do the import and then direct you to the relevant page to then do that next step. Okay, so this is currently being worked on, like I said, within the team. We're not quite there at the point to be able to release this in full, but just wanted to again show you the fact that we are working with some clients about getting this information available, enabling you to import this data that you have in another piece of software. And then once you've got that, you've got the templates here that you can look to edit or remove or whatever you want to do. But you can see there we've now got our webinar template. And if we wanted to make changes to that template, we would have the ability to do it, or we'd have the ability to then remove it as part of the process as well. And the final thing I was just going to say here, no, I think that was in the templates. So something that, again, we've been working through to get some feedback on, looking at the different forms, again, that we can map into this. If you've got any suggestions on forms that would be worthwhile to include in this process, let us know. The obvious one here is with our deed upgrades, certainly. So there are a number of these sort of ones that we would look to use and do. And in our next update, we'll provide a little bit more information as we move this into a, I guess, an open environment. And again, if this is something that you think could benefit you and you want to have a go at this in its current beta form, please feel free to stick your hand up and ask. We'd be more than happy to do so. So again, let's head back to our slides and go across to this next part, which is around our document flows. And some of you have heard me talk about this for some time, whereby we had many requests about merging particular forms together to create multiple documents. So I want to create a company and a new fund together. I want to create a company and I want to do my change of trustee. And by the way, we also do deed upgrades as well. So wouldn't it be great if we could have one big form that would allow us to do all this? And yeah, sure, it would be fantastic, but we would actually get nothing done. And the site really wouldn't handle the load that such a complex form and the combinations that would sit around it to do. And this is where we go back to, is there a smarter way for us to think about going through and doing stepped processes? And not only going through and doing step processes, but actually building these as workflows or document workflows, i.e. the term doc flows, to do it quicker without actually taking the amount of time that it would take for us to build, and therefore decrease the site speed potentially at the same time. But without still getting the advantages of actually putting these things together. So what we've now done here is we've started building out this doc flows. And it's the ability to create a workflow with the documents that we have available on the site that streamlines that order process across the multiple order forms. And we work through these steps and enables the data from one order form to move to the next order form, to move to the next order form. So you're not having to re-key information as part of this process. So rather than combining the forms, what we're doing is we're pushing the data from one to the other to help fast track that particular process. Importantly, it doesn't just finish there, because we have processes within that bigger process. We might want to, once a certain step has been completed, undertake a particular action, i.e. if we've set up a new fund, we want to do our one-click setup and send that information into our SMSF software. So you'll have the ability at a certain point in that junction to go, yes, well, I want to set that up. I want to pass that across to CAS 360 with my company incorporation. I want to set that up in my class or Supermate or BGL software around that new SMSF. I want to be able to update the ABN back into my SMSF software once that has been done. So One of the first one that we did do, and you will have seen it on that screen before, was around our fund establishment. So the fact that we would have a company incorporation, and then what we have done over time is we moved from that company integration, we moved it into the new SMSF, and then the workflow again moved it into the ABN TFN process. What we now have in here with our workflows is the fact that you can create a workflow and then choose from the workflows that we have available. So if we look in here and we have, so webinar new SMSF, and what we want to be able to do is do a fund establishment. What it will enable us to do is create a workflow to go through each of these steps. So the workflow, as you can see here, now has 3 steps built within it. We need to create our company. And then once we've got our company, we would then arrange to use that data to populate our new SMSF. Once we have our new SMSF, we will then be able to go and complete our ABN registration. Now, one of the things that the team's working on at the moment is that once that has been completed, not only will this go to purple and you'll see this updated as 1 of 3 completed, but there'll be some steps in here that will enable you to not only look at the document, access, download it from the workflow as much as you can get it from your completed orders. You'll also be able to do that action that I talked about, the fact that you now want to do that one-click push to your software to enable that to get set up. And it won't let you do the new SMSF here without first having completed the company. So these are predetermined as a workflow to say you must do this step first, then you must do this step, then you must do this step. Now, we will be adding into this the ability to remove steps from the process, potentially add in the future as well. A common one that we've been working on at the moment is something like a new SMSF with an LRBA. So there is, in this instance here, we've got 6 different steps: the company and the fund with the ABN, the Bear Trustee Company, the Bear Trust, and then the LRBA loan facility. Now, it might be a bank loan, so we don't need this step. So the idea will be that you can remove that from the process. And I hope what you can see here as well is we will get to a point that in the end, you'll be able to task these between the users that you actually have on your subscription as well. So there's a couple of really important features in here that you can see. One is it's helping you to understand, well, what are all the things that we need to do? We might then build out some additional paperwork in here to maybe help. You need to ensure that you have, for example, with a Bear Trust, if it's in Victoria, it needs to be stamped within a prescribed period of time. It may be that you, with a pension, commutation and commencement, that you've got 28 days after the end of the quarter in which the document has commenced, that you report. So if you think those sort of things would be beneficial as part of what I'd call a completed workflow above and beyond what we can provide on the site, again, these are all things that we're looking to do to help you better understand what is required, and then look at how that fits in within your team as well. So from our point of view, the next step for us is around pensions. So pension reboots, commutation, repurchase. And then from there, I guess it's as much feedback as we get from you around the different ways in which we can put these doc flows together. We know that there are a myriad of them that can be done. A lot of it is going to be dependent upon the documents that we add into the system from our existing app. We're not going to be adding this onto our app, given that we're decommissioning. So the more that we can get the documents added on, the more opportunities there are. So again, to our members that have got some ideas around these things, I'd encourage you to come back to us with a number of these. The change of trustee, the company, and the deed upgrade was one that we've had from a couple of members for some period of time. So that was the one that we've just provided. And again, going through a testing stage. The pensions was the next one. And then, it's either back to us or over to you and the discussions that we have with you about how these are progressing. So they're the couple of key features that we've been working on as part of that Docs 2.0. The other thing here is we're going to also be adding on some import entry details to the previous, from a previous order, I should say. So what do I mean by this? I spoke to you earlier about the fact that inside any new document that we're creating in here, that if we go and we hit order, and I might just go down to our pension one, because this is probably one where we believe there'll be a fair bit of use for this, is we've had a request and the team's currently working on it. Yep, sure, we've got our integrations that sit here, but quite often the same client is creating pensions or multiple pensions. So giving you the ability to use a form or use a menu in here that would allow you to find a previous order in respect to that client. And then again, just fast tracking the population of that order. Yes, the pension information, like as in the components and stuff, might be different and different compared to what you might be importing from your software. But again, these are just little things that clients are asking for. So we'll be putting these in place and giving you greater choice and flexibility about how you want to go and populate this information when you generate different documents from Smarter SMSF. The other bits here is we are also creating a centralized integrations page. I did show you before on the platform the little navigation in the bottom left-hand corner about what integrations are currently on. The main reason for this and building out an entire integrations page is because within our SMSF software, we've got a number of clients that not only have fund level integration or brand level integration in their software, but they also have business level integration. So you've got businesses set up within the software that you're doing work for. So therefore, when you export and you want to do that one click or send a document back in, not only can you might have 10 Smith super funds or something, you need to know the business that it's going into, and then you can find the fund within that business. So again, it's a couple of those features being added at the moment. The other exciting thing that we're doing, many of you will know that we use Hill Legal to be able to support us with our legal documents or signing off of legal documents. Chris Hill has a business called Inherit Australia, so it's an online legal platform around estate planning. So one of the things that we are doing, and we should have this ready in the next few weeks, is the ability to order things like enduring powers of attorney. So the first step here is going to be the fact that there'll be an order for the order button in the navigation in the menu to be able to order, and it's going to single sign you on to the Inherit site, and then you'll be able to go in and complete that particular order over there and look at using one of the enduring power of attorneys that they have in the various states and territories. Not quite all of them yet, but they're getting pretty close. This is what is stage one. Stage two in the future will be the fact that you'll be able to do that via our site, and then the APIs will organize that enduring power of attorney for you. We also have some additional stuff we're doing around Microsoft in terms of OneDrive and SharePoint API integrations. So again, just posting that data back in addition to what we have with Google and Dropbox and Box and some of those. And the final thing here, also coming back to Hill Legal, we're getting more and more requests just around different legal review services. And one of the things that we're looking to do here is introduce a legal review service, and that legal review service will be embedded into the form. So for something like a trust deed upgrade or a change of trustee or a binding death benefit nomination, if you want a level of legal review, you will be able to have that chosen as part of the form. What I will say is you can still do what we would call our straight through process or no review, as many of you would be doing in essence right now. But if you do want to look at a different type, or you want to go through and have a level of review done on a particular document, based upon that document, we will be then allowing for the level 1 or level 2 type of review. Level 3 really comes about once we get to a position whereby there is a problem and it might need some further work. So they level 1 and level 2 review. In essence, you'll pay as part of the order form, and then we will work with Hill Legal through the platform to be able to have those documents reviewed. You'll be able to upload deeds and other things historically in that form. That information will pass through to Hill Legal. We're working on in the back end around that at the moment. Hill Legal will sign off that work. They will give us that legal sign-off letter, and then we will publish that as part of the completed order for you. So the most important piece in there to note is as soon as you would request legal review, that order will not automatically generate as it does at the moment with that no review process. It will put a stop on it. It will notify you that the order is on hold because you have requested legal review, give you some expectations around timeframes and deliverables and so forth. And then once that has come back to us, we will then push that order through along with that legal review that will sit behind that particular document, and you move on. Okay, so that is the process. If there are problems with it, then naturally Hill Legal is going to come into play and have to work through that particular issue with you in more detail. And then the scope of that work would ultimately be negotiated between you and Hill Legal to undertake any sort of bespoke work that needs to happen thereafter. But this just provides you with an opportunity to get some specific work that might need to be done and have that review and the legal comfort that would sit behind such a process. We're also looking to elaborate and expand upon some of these other services that Hill Legal could provide, stamping of deeds and so forth. Again, just some of the things that we're sort of talking about and think about as we move into 2024. From an updates point of view, not a lot of change in the terms of the document space here. There's a couple of tweaks we made around our RBA loan facilities, added some things into schedules. Got a couple of things on the hop at the moment around the ability to add minors as members in the fund. Doesn't happen too often, but it happens enough for us to look at some templates around that situation. We've also had a couple of requests around pensions. So where we have a pension that fails during the year, have rollback or commutation documents that specifically deal with that particular issue and the requirements under the Tax Act and the relevant T-bar requirements and so on and so forth. So we're adding that into the process. And I wanted to flag with you from a deed point of view, there are a couple of things that we're contemplating at the moment. One is obviously the Division 296 tax rules. We do know that there's an exposure draft out at the moment. We don't have regulations. So whilst we've given it some consideration, we're not going to sort of move on this until we've got some level of certainty around where this legislation is naturally heading. And the other one is there's a lot of discussion, debate about member benefits versus death benefits. Called the weekend of Bernie's concept. Did the requests and payments start before the member had actually died or not? And SMSFs here, there's a greater imposition on them because typically the timing and when the payment occurs and the timing of the death, the trustees would really be in control of that much greater than you would in an APRA environment. So one of the references that the ATO regularly make is around the deed rules. Feeling fairly confident with it, but it's just one of those things that we want to go back and look at and make sure it is watertight in that context. So that's pretty much it on the document front. From the learning platform, we again have done a number of things over the past probably 6 months, in particular with Tim Miller on board. So we do have a bit of an updated navigation across the learning platform, which we now have multiple courses and our masterclasses as well. One of the things, actually, before I jump into that, I might just go across to the platform here and just show you a little bit around this. So what we've now got here is a courses section, a masterclasses section, and a webinars section. These are all equally available to see within here as well. And then within the courses, what you can now see is that we have our original course being our essentials course. been substantially updated, and I'll talk to that a little bit more shortly. We have our foundations course, which is about to be launched, as you probably just saw on the slide as I was talking about, and we will be looking at our advanced course to roll out throughout this year, probably not as early as I first thought, but in any event, I would like to think we'd be making some fairly good inroads into the modules in the first half of this year. Equally, our masterclasses are in here, so you've got the ability to access these on an ongoing basis. And then the webinars sit in here that we're running, like our Changing Face of SMSF, that you can come in and access at any point in time as well. So they're all there. Like I said, a tweak in terms of the visual, in terms of what you can actually access. But let's again jump back to the slides here just to explain a little bit more about some of those changes in detail. So as I said, our foundations course, we are launching from the 29th of January. It is a rebadged foundations course. It is not the same one as we had previously. I can show you a little bit more in a minute. It is genuinely based at that foundation level of knowledge. It is distinct and different from our essentials course. 6 modules, 10 hours of learning in our foundations course, 7 modules, 18 hours of learning in our essentials course. We have recently updated modules within the essentials course, including the Division 296 tax and the gnarly amendments, updated on the website as well. And most importantly, we have recently negotiated with the SMSF Association. Any student who completes either our foundations course or our essentials course will receive or can apply for a complimentary period of membership. And I say complimentary period of membership because the membership period starts on the 1st of April each year. So if you completed the essentials course now and then you applied for that, you would in essence get around 14 months of access to that subscription. It is what would be known as the associate membership, which is valued at around $500 a year. Versus the foundations course, which is an affiliate membership. So it's recognizing the differences between, say, a graduate or an administration staff or someone that might not be really moving through to that specialist, but want to stay active in terms of the SMSF industry. Whereas the essentials course, there is more aspiration towards becoming a specialist and a pathway towards specialization. And the course will continue to be evolving as well, recognizing that there will be some credits that will be going towards the SMSF specialization at some point in the future as well. And again, that associate membership there is the basis that you are looking to aspire to become a specialist, and therefore really giving you an introduction and a pathway that you could now move along. And this advanced course then is going to be talking more to that specialist level of knowledge. The modules will be available individually as much as they will be as a course. And again, we'll be talking to the SMSF Association about a range of things around that particular course as well. So as I said, we do have some links in here you can click on and have a look at in more detail after today's session. The other thing here is just to note our masterclasses. So again, our annual compliance masterclass and our contributions masterclasses have been uploaded and they are available there. They do include checklists and flowcharts. Our Changing Face of SMSF recording is also available that we ran in the last quarter. It does include a bonus session in respect to the Div 296 tax release info. So our masterclass, you can see here, the contributions masterclass, part 1, part 2, the assessment is there. We do naturally have in here the, once you go into part 1, you will then be able to access the materials. So you can see the case study, the slides, the flowcharts and so forth. The same goes with the annual compliance masterclass. We had a checklist and so forth available there as well. So it's all fully responsive in terms of the size that you can watch on the device that you want to watch it as well. And then equally, as I said here, the Changing Face, and you've got your assessments, materials, and so forth. In terms of the courses, Our foundations course here, you can see Tim's played a very active role in respect to this. The look and feel of the course is fairly similar to what you will have seen with our essentials course. If you haven't seen it already, is a bit of an indication for you anyway. The fact that you've got your resources with your workbooks, some links and so forth that work to it. One little thing that we have done differently with this course is we have created some characters, and the characters then are consistent throughout the entire course. Okay, so all of the various assessments, the interactions, the examples, the activities are all relevant to our case study family, just to ensure as you're working through it, you're not having to go backwards and forwards in respect to, well, who are these people again? And we don't reintroduce them in full as we go through, but as we work to the second module, for example, you will see a couple of slides at the very beginning. One is about just revisiting our characters, and the other one is just noting what stage of the superannuation life cycle we might be exploring at this point in time. We've got characters of both Tim and myself running through these, again, which is just a little bit different in the design of what each of these courses look like. And again, the context of video, audio, resources, all that sort of stuff we see as being really important in the way in which you can learn. Each module will have its own quiz that needs to be successfully completed, and then the certificate of completion, pardon me, naturally follows at the end of the course that's being completed. One of the other, one of the other changes to the essentials course, if I just go back to that course, is that the module, we have made a change in module 5. So rather than tax in its entirety, i.e. being tax at the course level and then tax at the member level, what we have done is we've pulled tax out around contributions. So contributions tax has gone into the contribution rules. Benefits tax has gone into module 4 around pension benefits. Tax generally has stayed in there, ECPI, GST, CGT and the like. And then estate planning has the death benefits taxes and so forth added into it as well. So like I said, all of these modules have had fairly big overhaul, in some instances been sort of pumped up in terms of the content within it to ensure that it sits at what we call that smarter level. So that sort of intermediate level that is distinct and separate from what we actually have within our foundations course. So we're starting to show and demonstrate to you those differences between the different courses that we have. So let's go back and wrap things up here. So the last thing just to note, of course, we've got our SMSF days coming up between the 13th to the 27th of March, 5 capital cities. Tickets are going strong. Some locations we're starting to sort of get towards capacity. So just be conscious of that. Probably the main one there is to mention is our friends in Perth always sign up super early, and which is great. Sydney, Melbourne also going very strong. Early bird prices are available until the 9th of Feb. Our members, you do have that member price that is accessible all the way through until the event, or unless tickets are sold earlier. So let's wrap things up. What's ahead? So for this year, I guess what we've been talking through today not only demonstrates what we're doing right now, but will be part of a key theme for this year. Our Docs 2.0 platform is certainly central to that. The fact that we're moving from a closed beta to open beta and then into live production over the course of the next few months is going to be crucial. Additional documents, more features, greater enhancements in the functionality. We're going to be adding more to our orders console. We've shown that to you in the past about managing users and managing their orders. The doc flow, again, more documents we get, the more combinations that we can create. and then move to this fact that you might want to start to create your own combinations and task those between different people. Our deed platform continues to evolve. We'll be talking more about that in our next update. We have been working on some stuff recently, didn't quite get it to where we wanted to. What I should say as well with our Docs 2.0 platform, we are working on some AI work. So I'll be able to look at the deed and ask questions about the deed and potentially your existing deeds to upload and really work out, what areas are the deed deficient, or what areas in the Smarter SMSF deed cover off on a particular issue, like guardianship, or like what happens when a member passes away or a member needs to be added, and so on and so forth. Our Smarter Legal review service, as I touched on, and some additional legal support around that. And as I finish off there, our SMSF Advanced course is something that we're looking forward to diving into throughout 2024 as well. So if there are other ideas, enhancements, priorities, and so forth, as always, you can get in contact with us, log a ticket, get on the phone. Myself, David, any of the team would be happy to have a discussion with you about things that we can naturally continue to grow and improve with on our Smarter SMSF platform. So that's it. We do have a range of things coming up. The first one there, next week, we have our State of SMSF's free CPD webinar. We have about 600 registrations already for that. So make sure we are sending a reminder out probably in the next couple of days, and we do cap out at 1,000. I suspect we'll probably get pretty close to that. So if you haven't registered, get in now and get that registration completed. We have a number of sessions that we're going to be running each and every month around our product line. We've got our document subscription session coming up, why you might want to think about it if you don't already. Our SMSF National Conference, both Tim and I are speaking. We also have our booth there. If you're going, come and see our sessions, come and say g'day, most importantly as well. And then our changing face of SMSF is our first quarterly update for the year before we get on the road for our SMSF day events, as I said, on the 17th of March, that kick off in Adelaide. So that is it. There's been plenty to cover today. Hopefully I've given you some good insights into what's been happening with the team over the past quarter. Look forward to hearing some of the great stories from you and what you're doing with your clients throughout the year. And in any way that we can assist, we'd be delighted to be able to support you and your business in 2024. I hope to see you at an event in the not too distant future. Have a great rest of the day, week. Bye for now.